and that's what they call me. I promise that you
Hey guys, my name's Josh, and I'm part of the traveling family of 5. I'm the doting father. Today we're going to talk about my 1995 Toyota Supra 2JZ GTE Targa Auto. Now for all you V8 muscleheads, this is like, the V8 might be like your wife. This is like the exotic woman that you're not allowed to have. A lot of you want. 2JZ GTE engine is one of the most reliable engines. I bought 2 of these cars because I love driving it so much. Same engines, different transmissions. As you see, Targa, automatic. I love this car. I'll never sell it or get rid of it unless something really bad, something comes down to it. I bought the car actually like it is right now. So it has the TS1 carbon hood and it has the TRD spoiler on the back, all carbon fiber. And this Florida sun and the UK sun when I was there, it's starting to tarnish a little bit. But my overall end game is to have a color change on it in May. The only things that I've done to the car, because the tires were ate up so much, is I put Cosmos Racing and Kiki design wheels all around with 10 inches in the back and 9.5s in front. It's not ideal to drive. Just looks good, feels good. Fender bumping a little bit and everything, it's all good. Don't bother me one bit. Overall, clean. A lot of you have asked me to do a video about it. This video and do the time and everything and how much I'm going to go over, I'm going to have to do it in stages. So there's going to be probably 4 parts of this video to go over one car. That way I can show you all the information, how to actually register it in the States, how to ship it, and I'm going to give you all the shipping companies that I went through too. Literally, I'm watching people over here in Florida spend about $30,000 for a naturally aspirated car. When I was in the UK and I just literally priced them, they're about $7,000. At the end of the day, if I was to ship one back over here, it'd be about $12,000. They're making $16,000 to $20,000 profit on each one of those cars, and it just blows my mind. So instead of y'all getting ripped off and getting a naturally aspirated car, something that's not really what you 100% wanted, and doing an engine swap, I'm going to go over how to ship you a car. And if you ask me how much I paid for the car, I don't mind, honestly, because I didn't pay something astronomical for it. This car behind me, literally, I paid $12,000 for. I'm not lying. Literally $12,000. We went up to Ireland and I told my wife, hey, let's go on vacation. And I suckered her into it. She saw a brown envelope and she's like, what are we buying this time? I was like, oh, we just going. And then got up there in Ireland, went and saw the dude. She thought she was getting a little vacation and we brought back another car. And now we're just going to go and look over the car and I'll go over some pieces about it. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is the engine bay and what you need to look at before you ship it or even buy the thing. If these numbers don't match, or there's something funny, or the plate is missing, or there's some weird stamp marks, because I literally came across the GTR where the dude took the plate off, and on the firewall he literally took some metal stamps and stamped in the number. And the UK, Japan, a lot of places are known to forge numbers. So the number that I found on that GTR was actually belonged to an S14, which they were trying to just classify it in that category when that was brought over to the country. You can't bring that to the States. And plus, 1, it'll devalue it. 2, customs might have an issue with it. Even if you get it registered somehow in the States and somehow you take it to another state, it could flag it. First thing is there's 3 numbers. What I'm not going to do is zoom up on my numbers because I'm not going to give you, that's like giving out private identification number. What I'm going to show you is where it's located. So the first number is going to be right here on your firewall. If it's a 2JZ GTE engine, it's going to have the JZ880 is going to be the first number that comes up, the first couple of numbers. When you match the firewall up, it needs to match a little plate on your driver's side, which I'll show you a little bit of it. I'm not going to zoom up on it. but there's a little Chinese, or correction, Japanese plate right here. These numbers need to match up to your firewall, and they also need to match up to your engine number. Your engine number is a little bit harder to get to, right underneath the manifold. So literally you're gonna have to take, the mechanic who's gonna authorize or say it's an original verified state, like you'll have to take it to I took it to Steve Cooper's in Raff Mildenhall and had him draft me up a paper saying, this car is authenticated, it has original transmission, the original chassis, the original engine, all the numbers match. Then he had to take a little microscope, send it down into the engine siding, take a picture of the actual engine block number. Those numbers have to match up to that Japanese plate. It also has to match up to that firewall, which also ends up matching up to the engine bay. 3 numbers you have to identify. When you're buying a Supra, the main things, or another thing is the GTR. If you're buying them from other countries and everything, rust is a huge issue. This one has a little bit of rust on the underside. When I was buying it, I knew what I was getting into, and I'm gonna fix it. I mean, I couldn't pass up $12,000. If I was to buy this car now, in the States, $40,000 to $100,000. Daddy don't have that kind of cash, so Daddy bought a $12,000 car, fixed it up over time and everything. Project. Win some, you lose some. I won some. Rust on the underside. The other thing is when you buy this car, you need to have somebody, if you're in the States and you're buying a FAR, they need to take a video of the whole car. They have different grades. This one was like a 3.5 or something like that when it was brought into the UK. That means it had a little bit, something was changed on it, which the body kit. The body kit, if they add anything like that, it changes the grade number and everything if it's not authentic when it's passing through the Japanese auction market. The other thing you need to make sure of is when you start the car, since this one has turbos on it, you have to see if there's any white smoke or anything coming out the back tailpipe. That's a big indicator that, hey, head, gasket, turbos are going bad, anything, something's not right with the engine. Knocking is another thing. When I said rust, the strut towers are the main thing that I'm going to look at, because if the strut towers have a ton of rust, for some reason GTRs and Toyota Supras, those are the primary spots where I've noticed a lot of rust starting to sit in. So when I was talking to some of my friends in the UK, the Brits, and I go to the JDM meets, they're telling me about, hey, when you buy this next car, make sure the strut mounts. There's no issues. So I just look at it, took pictures of it. The other thing is before I bought my first Supra, I sent all those pictures into the EPA and DOT because I was a little bit nervous about buying a car for even though it's not a ton of money for that type of car, it's still a lot of money. So what I did is I made sure for myself. When I was in the States, I found my first Supra before I even moved overseas. I had it lined up for me when I got here. Within the first 2 weeks, I went and bought it. What I had the owner do is ship me every single pictures of the front, back, sides, underneath the car, the engine bay, the interior. And then I had to do a 360 video of the whole car. Once I did that video, I took everything and I shipped it to the EPA and DOT, had them verify it and sign off before I even came back to the States. I wasn't coming back to the States for another 6 years almost. I made sure that they were all good to go and no issues. Now let's say you do buy a car overseas and there's some issues, like they swapped out an engine, they swapped out a tranny, they did something different. That's when you start running into different issues. A lot of people will take that naturally aspirated Supra and swap in a 2JZ. Well, that's not the original engine that came in the car. Technically, it doesn't matter if you get it registered in the States or not. You can tell me any different. I've already done the paperwork. I've been through EPA, DOT. The paperwork's been done on them. So, you just can't swap. Now, there is gray market Supras, GTRs, and everything. They're in the States. And they do have the swaps on them. They do have large turbos and everything when they brought them back to the States. But the paperwork that you need to look for is the authentication letter. You can swap all that stuff once you get it back to the States, but you cannot have it swapped before you bring it over. And or you need to have Toyota authentication letter and or a registered authenticator overseas to do the paperwork on the car before it even comes over here. If you don't have something like that, then technically your car is illegal. I'm sorry, it's just what it is. There's like 5 or 6 pieces of document that you have to have for each car when it brings it over. The only thing is like if I was to sell this car, I can't hand those authentication documents over to another individual. I can keep them on hand and I can give them my contact information, but it literally has like my social security and all that information on it because it was registered to me when I brought it over. Went over rust, strut mount rust, engine knocking and everything like that, which you're paying attention to the Supras, and then the white smoke coming out of the tailpipe and everything. Car's 25 years old, or almost 26. They're so sound. I haven't had any issues with it. All I do is swap out the liquids and everything. Literally nothing. No issues. I've loved driving them, and I thought I was going to do a bunch of work to them. I think the most I'm going to do to the silver one is just keep it as a daily driver, and when the turbos go out, upgrade them, replace parts. But I don't want to mess with something that's, I mean, it's been running for so long, and it already sounds good. There ain't no reason to mess with that and drop 500 horse or 600 horsepower in it. I mean, my friends are getting rid of theirs that have that amount of horsepower. It's just not a daily driver anymore. This one I used to daily. When I first got it, it had 50,000 miles on it. I know, $12,000, 50,000 miles on a car, that's pretty good. I'm not gonna do that, man. I just don't want to spend any extra on it and everything, and the thing runs great, man. Toyota did a wonderful job with this one. A lot of people ask me if I'm gonna buy the new Supra. I love the new Supra, and I like what they were trying to do with it. It is 100% a BMW, hands down, everything about it. Now, what a lot of people argue is that Toyota Supras, the 94s, 95s, 93s, whatever, the older generations, the Mark IVs, they'll say Yamaha built the engine. Yamaha built the head of the engine. Well, technically, Toyota built it, they shipped it off to Yamaha, had it redesigned and everything, and they did their little magic voodoo on it and made it better. All in all, 100% Toyota. And the reliability, I don't know what it is about cars nowadays with all these computers and everything. I run into problems all the time. My Tundra, literally the air sensors and everything go off on it every once in a while. My favorite truck by far is my 2012 Toyota Tundra, even compared to these new ones today. And I mean, these new ones are a little bit harder to work on with all these sensors. Overall, awesome car. You get in the Supra, it feels like a cockpit. It literally feels like you're getting to like a little fighter seat and everything. Everything is oriented towards the driver. Nothing's oriented towards the passenger. So, I literally didn't do anything to this car. It has a stage 1 piping kit. Stage 1 can mean whatever, man. Different companies have different stages, whatever they want to call it. But the intake, and full cap back, the intercooler system's all being upgraded. The ECU, there's a programmed ECU in it that allows it to run both turbos at the same time. It doesn't do anything. I mean, it does sound a lot better, but I mean, it's not like more horsepower or anything like that. We go into it, like I said, it's like a cockpit. Most comfortable seats I've ever had, man. I don't know why people even switch out these Toyota Supra seats. By far, the original seats are so much better than any racing seat I've ever been in. The previous owner had everything dipped in carbon. You see all the trim and everything is carbon. Boost controller, all the pods, he had everything dipped. Just nice. Like I said, it's all like a cockpit. Well, there's not much to it, man. I mean, it's very simplistic in its design, and it runs great, and it's a Targa. Not a back seat person. Like, I don't even know why they put a back seat in this car. I can't fit anybody in it. I can't even fit a little kid in it. It's not even worth it, man. Car is awesome. I had no issues. 25 years, almost 26 years old. Nothing. Runs like a dream. 1995 Toyota Supra doesn't have a tail. Like, no, what do they call it? A boot. There's no boot space in it. So what we have here is the Rockford Fosgate Entertainment in the back. What you saw, man, it's very basic. Y'all said y'all wanted to see the car. It's very, I'm not gonna go too much in depth on it. There's tons of YouTubes out there and everything, and I'm not gonna waste a ton of time with going far in depth. What I will go in depth is when the build starts to happen. That should be May of 2021. Today is what? January 3rd or something like that. We just head into the new year and everything. COVID happening and everything. We'll see how everything plays out. But May should be, this one will be the first one going into the build. And I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you want me to go over, tell me what y'all want to hear about. Like, I can talk about the Supra all day long. My wife gave me 12, 13 minutes to talk about it right now, and I think I'm going way over that. I don't know. But this is it, man. It's just going to take some time to get her built and everything. Look forward to it in May, and then I'll put out something. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video on my Supra. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to import a car. This should help the U.S. market. I don't know about the UK market, about importing into there. We went by different guidelines with the military and stuff like that. But the U.S. market, opening up and everything, y'all spending $30,000 on your GTS Nissan Skylines and your naturally aspirated Supras and stuff, those are all awesome cars. You're paying more than I bought any of my cars for, and you're paying more than what a Turbo Supra overseas costs. Literally $12,000. So I'm going to help y'all try to get that car, as long as the markets don't keep skyrocketing up because the US market is gouging it. In the next video, I'm going to try to help y'all. We'll see where we go. See if it helps. You ask all these questions, I'll try to help you along the way. I'm very much about helping the people. So that sounds really dumb. I'll help y'all as much as I can, and get you a little dream car or whatever, or you pay poor man's supercar. but but we'll see where we go, man. So there'll be like four videos, and then I'll talk over my Demon Purple Supra, the one that's chameleon eyes and it changes color in the sun, heat, and everything, and literally the Mercedes Silver Supra that we just went over. Whatever questions I'll have, ask them, and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. Bye.